Terrible happy talks. Terrible happy talks.
Yeah, good to be here, man.
Whoa.
Yeah, good.
We do it on purpose and Mr. Dino lifestyle. Go. 3, 2, 1. Alright, let's do this. Today's guest is Martana Diputra. Martana is a Balinese regenerative food farmer. And Tim, I always stuff that word up in your podcast as well. He's a student of Agro-Eco-Technology at university and lead facilitator at the Astungkara Way. Today, Martana is with me live and on location in Canggu, Bali, to check in, share journey, experiences, challenges, and hopes for the future of Bali. Pak Martana Diputra, welcome.
Thank you, Pat Shannon.
Yes, brother. I'm so stoked to have you here. And a special shout out to this week's co-host, past guest, founder of the Astungkara Way, and part-time comedian, Mr. Tim Fidgel.
Thank you, Shannon.
Dude, how are you, Tim?
Very well, thanks. Welcome back.
Man, this is special for me. You know, like I had to leave Bali before the pandemic. It's been like over 2 years. Can you, Martana, describe the last 2 years from your perspective?
Mm-hmm.
Has it been the strangest time you've ever seen in your life in Bali?
Yeah, for these 2 years, I've been with this COVID situation. I mean, like there's a lot of situation change. Yeah. Especially in agriculture because I'm working in that sector for whole my life until now. Yeah, so a lot of change, like a lot of people start to going back to the agriculture again after I don't know how many period of time, because as you guys know, Bali is more like in tourism side, but when when the COVID hits, so most of people turning back to the agriculture again.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like also good for the environment because people back to plant their own sort of their food for their living also and for their eat as well. Yeah.
Wow. So they're going back to the origins of how they were living in Bali before tourism was a major source of income.
Yep.
Wow, that's special.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as a child, can you describe the village that you grew up in?
Mm-hmm. So I grew up in the village, like in city side. So I grew up in Denpasar, but kind of like not in the heart of Denpasar. I live in like north of Denpasar. So when I was a kid, I've been playing a lot at the rice field because I live in middle of the rice field, and then I can see still a few mountains in the middle of Bali from my village, and then still can see firefly at night with my uncle. I think that's really makes me something that I miss now when I was when I'm now at my age. So because those things I think is still stuck in my mind until now, even though like I'm growing vegetable with my dad, helping my dad to also watering all the vegetable with the water can manually, and then also cut some grass also for the cows. So I had cows, like 2 or 3 cows before, but now I don't have anymore because it's just like I don't know, it's just like change. The changes is really like different now than before. I mean, like yeah.
So no cows anymore?
And now cows, but
Why?
still doing farming because my parents still doing farming, but now with the cows with more vegetable now, but a lot of surrounding also start building. So I guess it's also don't want to damage the environment, like especially the smile of the cow manure.
The smell?
Yeah, the smell.
Yep.
Yeah. So now it just become less the livestock that people was doing before, and now it's just maybe just only vegetable and also rice.
Do you remember your parents growing vegetables?
Yep.
Since you were born?
Yep. Especially I have grandfather that usually like bring me to the rice field, to the vegetable garden, to pick some flower from the vegetable that I still can remember until now. So yeah, since I was a kid, and when I was born, I remember my grandfather just keep walking around to find some flower from the vegetable garden, and then my
For ceremony?
no, just for playing because I was a kid like 5 or 6 years old. So just flower from the vegetable from like water spinach and just for play. Yeah. So
What's the name of your village?
Paguyangan dan Pasar.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I think what many people in other countries don't realize that even though Denpasar is a city,
Yep.
there's still rice fields sort of in close proximity to the city, correct?
Yep. Because it's like north of Denpasar, so the edges of the city. So
The edges of the city.
I think the central is already turned into the urban side, urbanization, but in the side there's still few of the rice field.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is there as many rice fields as there used to be?
Yep.
There is.
Yeah. So I have talked with the elder as well. So my village before was really big rice field. So but now a lot of story told me about how it transitioned into or converted into building. So I think the urbanization is really feel it in Denpasar.
You feel it in Denpasar.
My elder said
They notice it.
Yeah, they notice it. Mm-hmm.
What was school like for you?
School for
As a child?
okay, as a child. So
What was it like?
So I went to the national school for elementary is SD number 1 Paguyangan. So SD is the elementary school. So yeah, for me when I was in that elementary school, I have a lot of friends who still play with me when there's no gadget, when there's only what is called the telephone, the with the numbers.
Mm-hmm. The dial phone?
Yeah, not the cell phone.
So not the cell phone.
Not like the one that we have now. So it's really hard to find to meeting because we don't really have a chat. We don't have really phone before. So we just find a spot that we need to go there, especially in certain time in the evening. So we will meet there together with the bicycle, and then we play around. Go to the like backyard of my friend that has a river. Yeah. We swam there together, even though we need to do some napping in the afternoon before. Especially my dad and my mom is really strict. You have to go to nap before you play with your friend.
It's good. It's a good rule.
So even though my friend came to me before we start to play, my friend also invited to have a nap before we play. So
your friend?
Yeah.
He liked the nap?
Yeah, because it has to do before we start to play.
So you play better?
Yeah, no, play better. Yeah, maybe play better.
So you have more fun?
Yeah, we have more fun. I don't know why my parent has that rule, so but I like it.
I like it too. Can I have a nap now?
If you have nap now, so we end the podcast now.
Were you a good student or were you naughty?
Yeah, I'm a good student.
No.
I usually get...
Why are you laughing, Tim? Tim thinks that's funny. Were you a good student?
Yeah, it start like, I don't know, like grade 4 or grade 3. So because my mom is a seller at one of the night market, and then I think that's my, I don't know how can I say, my turning point, because I'm really naughty when I was grade 1 until grade 3, and then I just see my mom that waiting for me in the window while she also really sleepy, and then I cannot be a good boy at that moment. I feel like, oh my God, my mom working more than 12 hour a day, and then she's waiting for me, and then I cannot make any I don't know how can I say, like any good for her. And then I just feel like from the window everybody already got everybody already allowed to go home because they already make their like tasks, but I cannot make it because I'm naughty boy. And then I just feel like at that moment, oh my god, I need to change myself because my mom that really already tired and waiting for me, and then I don't really cannot go because I cannot done the task. And then after that, grade 4 until grade 6, I cannot be like best student.
But you
Can I
you
say?
realize you were so young to understand that.
Mm-hmm.
That's very young.
Yeah, because of my background of my family, because I can feel it when I see my mom is really tired, and then she still have time to pick me up, and then suddenly I see around, and then I just only a guy who's still in the class while everybody already went out. I think that's my turning point to be like more appreciate my mom that she's already working in the market, and then still wanna pick me up, but I cannot be a good student. And then that's in that moment I feel okay, I need to be a good kid or be good student.
Can you describe the night market? So
The night market.
Yeah, like how is it part of Balinese trading culture?
Okay, so especially in my family, and also in my banyar, we have few people who selling stuff in the night market. So the night market usually for selling some stuff for offering, and then some stuff for make a Balinese salad. It's called rujak. So my mom is selling that one. So for the Balinese salad, it's called rujak. So the rujak.
Rujak.
Can you say that? Rujak.
Rujak.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Rujak.
Yeah, so my mom sell that, like the material, like the unripe mango, lot
Like
of
green mango?
yeah, like green
I
mango.
love green mango.
Yeah, all the stuff like sour.
Yeah. So
taste
she
taste
grows
sour.
that. She grows green mango?
Not yet, but I try to also prepare for her. So until now, we still like do B2B, business to business. So my mom buy and then sell it again to the customer. Yeah, and my mom start around now 5 p.m. 5 p.m. going to the market, and then going back home around 7 till 8 a.m.
Okay.
So more than 12 hour.
So she starts in the afternoon
Yeah, 5 p.m. in the afternoon.
and then works all through the night
Mm-hmm.
to the early morning
Yep.
of 7 a.m.
Yep. Even though when
How many days a week?
she only got day off, like in Nyepi, Galungan. So Nyepi
So
is one.
so Balinese public holidays
Yeah,
ceremony.
yeah, ceremony. Nyepi only once a year.
What about in the week? Like, she gets a day off in the week?
No,
Like Sunday? Or?
no, she don't have.
So seven
even-
days.
Yeah, 7. Even though when she was pregnant for me and my sister, she's still going to the market at night. I think
7 days per week.
yeah,
Tujuh
hari
hari
per minggu.
per minggu.
Yeah, non-stop.
For how many years?
I'm already 26 now, and my sister already 30 years old.
How long did your mum do that though? 30 years.
Yeah, around 30 years old.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
That's amazing, dude.
So I guess that's also really inspired me to do some stuff, and then make me now.
To make her proud?
Pardon?
To make her proud?
Yeah. So
to validate her hard work?
yeah, her hard work.
What has she used? I mean, you're at university.
Uh-huh.
Is that because of your mother's hard work?
I feel it
Or did you get
To-
scholarship?
two things, yeah. First,
Or both?
because of my mom hard work, I didn't go with the scholarship. And then the second one, because I'm growing with that environment, because I'm growing in the farming stuff, like what my dad usually do, telling me. And then also, yeah, also my grandfather who doing that as well.
Wow, dude. You know, that this is it's just good for me to hear personally. It's a cultural difference, you know,
Yep.
that I find very interesting from where I'm from. We work hard in our country as well. There's no doubt about that. But we always get it. We get at least one day off a week, you know.
Yeah.
And most people do, you know. And so I'm just really intrigued by that, you know, selling the vegetables that she grew and vegetables that she would buy and
Yep.
then
Sell it again.
yeah.
And also some unripe fruit like for the rujak.
Rujak?
Rujak.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, rujak.
Rujak, yeah.
So then you know you realized this when you were a young student and like in elementary school.
Yep.
And then you went to high school and did you get
before the high school I went to middle school.
and were you a good student there? Did you get good grades? Like because you'd made this decision now.
Yep.
To try harder.
Yeah, what I can just say from that side, because of when I grew up, so since elementary maybe it's only in my village, so kind of be a best student in my village, but when jump into the middle school, it's more like more heterogeneous people, like not only one village, there's a lot of villages, but in that moment I still try to be as a good student. I still try to make my parent proud of me because he's really working hard during the night as well, my dad during the day. So yeah, and also inspired from my sister as well.
Yeah.
My sister kind of best student as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, the family is really encouraged me to be a good
To be a leader?
to be maybe one day be a leader. I mean, like I'm still learning how to be a good leader, like what my mom or my parent doing, about how they encourage another family to keep in a loop. I mean, like that's really what I really want to learn from my parent as well. So it's not always in my small family, so they also still keep the loop with another family, like keep
Connected to
another family, like try to bring them together. Yeah,
Gotcha.
so yeah, that's also one I would like to learn. I don't know, one day maybe I can be as what my parents doing now.
So sweet, man.
Yeah.
I love it. You then went to high school, graduated. Did you get straight into university from high school?
Yeah, in our culture we don't have any gap year. So
I was going to ask. So no
you
didn't
gap
work.
year.
Okay.
Yeah, so directly going to university. So in the university, because of what I used to learn when I was a kid, I got it again. So feel like more not learning. I mean, like because of it's maybe learning, but it's more like happy because there's already what I used to do when I was a kid. Yeah.
So you're glad you're glad to do it. You don't need a gap year.
Sorry.
You don't need a gap year because you enjoy learning.
Yeah. Because I enjoy learning because that I used to do when I was a kid.
Okay.
Yeah. So just like more connecting the dots.
Connecting the dots.
Maybe that's what Steve Jobs say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to lead into your involvement with Pack Tim. So how did you guys meet? I might ask Tim this question.
I don't know.
How did you meet?
We met because Martana was supporting Gian, who is my colleague in Cocoa Connection when we were working together at Green School. And Gian was working on her master's degree and needed some assistance with the numbers for her thesis. I think that's what happened.
Yep.
And
correct.
Martana was there.
And
she introduced me to Martana. And it was love at first sight. I mean, him for me, of course, but...
just on a side note, man, you got a good voice for radio. Sorry, keep going. It's so deep and manly. Keep going.
Anyway, Yeah, no, Martana was just immediately had a nice chemistry with him, and we had at that time a lot of work to do, and we were just transitioning to the work that we were doing in the field, in farming, and I knew that he had quite a good background in that, so we invited him to be an intern with our team.
So can you give us some backstory about that project at the time? Where was it at? When you needed the support of an intern like Martana? Like at what stage? What were you actually doing at the time? I guess
we were probably into our second or third rice cycle, and our first one was just a matter of musing with the green school community of like, what would it be like if we went out there as a bunch of foreigners and get our feet in the mud and tried to see what it's like to plant rice and then see it through to the harvesting, and go out there every week and connect with local farmers. So we did that, and the experience really resonated with the group of 12 people that we did it with. And through the course of that cycle, I think we picked up a bit of momentum, and teachers like you at Green School took an interest to what we were doing. And that's why we needed an intern, because in addition to this course that we were teaching for the Green School parents, we also started to get interest from a handful of the Green School teachers who said, that's pretty cool, how can we get involved out there too and engage our students in what you're doing? So yeah, that's when we needed help.
Because it was, and then from there, like Martana, working as an intern, did you immediately realize the vision that Pact Tim had, for this, I guess advocating for regenerative farming practices? Did you understand that immediately?
Yeah, because of there's kind of like a lot of issue when I was in university as well about the way to farming. So
this came up in your studies?
Yeah, I mean I already kind of faced that when I was in university about what's the condition of the farming nowadays. I mean there's really separate with the tourism, they're not working together with the tourism, and then there is also the condition of the soil as well. It's like the people are throwing chemical stuff in the soil, and then I guess this start when it's green revolution. So the vision what Pak Tim mentioned at that moment, I really can understand it, because of I also faced that when I was in uni, and also there's a lot of conversation also it's happening about that transitioning in my university as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Do you think there's a lot of concern? Give us a local perspective. Are locals concerned about the current farming practices and how detrimental using chemicals to grow is to harming soil? Do locals care, or are they like, hang on, there's plenty of money from tourism, we don't care about rice farming anymore?
So maybe I can answer it with some cases. The first, about my background when I was a kid, I still remember how my dad also tried to invite me to do the organic thing. Like we remember at that moment before the chemical start, so we have our own way to produce our fertilizer, like with the organic stuff, and then the cows, and then a lot of stuff from the surrounding, like the organic stuff.
Yeah.
So for myself personally, it's to make a good food, we need to also make a good soil.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, and then there's a lot of issue about using the pesticide nowadays, and that's also make me feel it's also need to be really serious about this to turn back the culture, because the culture in Bali before it also used the organics, I mean like the nature stuff that already provide, that's the one that we use. But when the green revolution starts, so there's a lot of another chemical input. So then that's why I said we need to going back to the culture was.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, and that's really what Astungkara Way
Yep.
educates about, correct?
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So let's say somebody comes to the Astungkara Way
Mhm.
from another country
Yep.
to do a course.
Mhm.
What will they learn?
So for me now, especially I'm as facilitator as well.
Facilitator?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So facilitator, I've been past a few courses during this almost 2 years
Yep.
to facilitate it, and then there's adult, they can learn about how we transition the rice from the chemical into the natural farming.
Yep.
Or for producing healthy rice, we cannot say organic rice, especially because there's a lot of need certificate and some stuff like that, so we call it a healthy rice.
Right.
So people like adults learn about how we do transitioning, and then what the method that we use to transitioning from the chemical into free chemical one.
Right.
So and then the others also we provide course for the local. We call it a sekolah subak. So
Okay.
this is not always for the
So it's a course for the local farmers
the local.
to teach the local farmers as well.
So the first of all, we would like to do the local, the youth, because so here maybe the story start, because when we start the Astungkara Way, and then when we also were in green school, we have a lot of discussion with the farmer there. So what the farmer said there at that moment, because nowadays the issue is about there really less young people to going back to the land.
Why?
Yeah, because of like what I mentioned, because of Bali is known well as the tourism site.
Yeah.
So most of people going to tourism.
But
So
what were those young people doing during the pandemic?
so
Like all those young people that were working in hospitality, what did they do?
so for me, that I have friends that working in hospitality,
What they
and
do?
then I tried, because he not really get a full-time job at that moment, and then I tried to invite him to also help in gardening stuff. So that's only one example. So another example, people in Sibang Kajo, and what farmer mentioned there, a lot of young people also going back to help farming, like harvesting flowers and so on.
Really?
Yeah, so they going back to the
They were definitely going back to the village. Even
yep.
so, even like a trendy bartender at a day beach club
Mm-hmm.
was doing that.
Yep.
What a contrast.
Yeah. So that pandemic is a lot of people going back to the nature.
Do you think the pandemic may be a good thing for Bali secretly?
Secretly, like for the.
I mean,
for the,
what's a better way to describe? Like indirectly,
mm-hmm.
it was a good thing for Bali.
Yeah.
I know there was a lot of suffering. I don't want to
Uh-huh.
downplay that. I understand,
Mhm.
but do you think maybe it got people thinking
For
about how they're living here?
the way they're producing food, I think it's really good for them to have also their back experience to producing food. So like connecting with their land, and then the heritage.
The heritage.
Mhm.
Speaking of like fancy beach clubs, because you know
Mhm.
Bali's full of these fancy, trendy beach clubs.
Mhm.
I mean this is a genuine question, Tim. You mentioned that Astungkara Way is now collaborating with iconic beach club in Bali, Potato Head. So, would you mind giving us a bit of an insight as to what you guys are working on together?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, Potato Head's a unique beach club, if you want to call it that.
It's a hotel as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a hotel, but it's, I mean, their main emphasis, when they talk about themselves, is about art and design and music and community, and they take those things really seriously. That's how they define themselves, and they as well have defined themselves as being on a path on sustainability path for a long time, and that's how I got to know them through green school, and they were often engaged in the events and with several of the initiatives that were happening at green school. And I guess they called me up a few months ago, and I guess they had heard about Astungkara Way, and they liked the way that we were using the word regenerative, and they realized that maybe more and more tourism providers are going to have to start thinking in terms of regeneration, not just sustainability. So they were thinking about how they could transition, and they asked us for some advice. So we came and sat with them, and a lot of things came up, and they were intrigued. And so we've been supporting them in that path towards regeneration since, for I guess the past 4 months now.
So interesting. In terms of tourism, because we talk a lot about tourism, I am aware that you had some discussions or meetings with the head of tourism in Bali, in the government appointed head of tourism. Can you give us an insight as to what your relationship there was with the...
Actually, that was kind of a fortuitous event. It was the Minister of Tourism for Indonesia, actually not for Bali.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I was called up by somebody, one of the parents who was in our rice cycle course, who was he's an investment and management consultant and works with those, those kind of business people in that world that I don't really know, that fuzzy world out there in Jakarta and world capitals. And he called me up a few weeks ago and said, I have a banker friend in Jakarta. He's got to come here and with a consortium of investors and such, and talk about green or ecotourism. I don't know, maybe you might want to talk to him. Would it be okay if I floated your contact to him? And I said, sure. And a couple weeks later, some guy in Jakarta called me up and said, hi, I'm this guy, and I'm with this bank, and me and a couple of institutional investors are coming around, and we'll likely be meeting with the Ministry of Tourism or a team of them. Would you be interested in coming along to, just be present because we're interested in green or ecotourism? And I said, green tourism. He said, I feel like you're cringing. And I said, yeah, man, I'm really cringing.
Right.
When you start using words like ecotourism or green tourism, I imagine.
Why?
Well, just because, it's so easy to build a building, a structure out of bamboo, and in a great big resort that is otherwise trashing the island, and call it ecotourism because, you've done one or two things sort of right. And I told them, we're not so interested in using labels like eco or green. We're more interested in taking a really high integrity approach to regeneration and trying to understand how we can make that happen. And he said, oh, that's interesting. Tell me more. So I told him about Astungkara Way, and he said, would you be willing to put together a slide deck for the minister? And I said, well, geez, I guess. And so we sent that to him, and then a few days later he said, could you come out and meet us for dinner? And I imagined that it would be the Minister of Tourism along with his cohort and probably 100 or so people sitting in a big table in Nusa Dua. And as it turned out, it was like a couple of banks and a couple of institutional investors on one side of the table, and the Minister of Tourism and his deputy and myself and my business partner on the other side of the table. So we actually got to tell him about Astungkara Way, and in fact he had already found out about it. So it was really, really encouraging, and I think, well, they too are looking at how they're going to develop these next Bali tourism sites on other islands across Indonesia, and they seem to have an interest in figuring out how to do that in a way that also supports and respects local communities. So that's quite a challenge, I think, for big operators. So
That's the fundamental challenge, right?
Yeah, exactly. So at least they're willing to ask us about it, and so we're sharing our vision for what that would be. And I'm not sure where that'll lead us, but they have indicated that they want to sign an MOU with us, and what's an MOU? What's a memorandum of understanding?
Okay, sorry.
Yes.
I'm not down with all the acronyms.
It's not a contract. It's a loose affiliation that would indicate an intention to work together, which could result in working together or could just be an intention. But at least it's something. And we were really honored to have that opportunity to speak directly to a minister who, who expressed what seemed to be a sincere intention to do the right things for local communities and to develop a regenerative village tourism model.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You could possibly help him with that and work on that.
Astungkara.
Oi.
Oi. What does Astungkara mean, Martana?
So the Astungkara means like God wills. So
God will?
Yeah. So every
So
time.
it's the God will way.
So yeah, God will. Yeah, we.
Good will or God will?
God.
God.
Yeah, God.
God's will.
Yeah, God wills. So yeah, when people in Bali usually say it, hopefully today will be a nice day, and then we say it, Astungkara. Yeah.
I like that, man.
Mm-hmm.
Astungkara. Yeah, I'm going to say that on my motorbike when I'm riding through traffic.
Okay. And then Astungkara, and people said Astungkara back. All right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's special. And I was sort of talking to Tim earlier. You know, I've had Tim on the podcast a couple of times, and personally, I'm just really now intrigued in continually documenting the journey of the Astungkara Way.
Yep.
Because I've sort of now seen its inception. And when I first had Tim on the podcast, he was still working at the Green School, and you were talking about this vision. I mean, you'd already had it, I think, already underway, but you were like, I think that's what I'm really going to do. And just to see where it's come now, meetings with ministers, whether they're just intentional, but whatever, but I see the links with some of the local people, Tim, even stronger and stronger, and just sort of looking at the relationship between you and Pak Martana, it's stronger than ever since I remember, like a family sort of feel. It's super special, I think. Can you tell me who else is in your team with the Astungkara Way?
All right, so we have most of young Balinese.
Young Balinese,
yeah,
okay,
who join our Astungkara Way.
Yeah.
So some of my friend also from the university, like 1 year younger than me. Like, so there are 3 of them. So also join with us, and then we call it they are amigos.
Amigos?
Yeah.
Amigos.
Three amigas.
3 amigas.
Yeah.
Tiga amigas.
Amigas.
Are they female?
They're all females.
So it's amiga, yeah. That's the proper way to say it,
not
amiga.
amiga, not amigas, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have friends, from Singaraja, Novi.
Yeah.
We also have Echi. And then, we have Agus, most of Balinese, young Balinese people
And
around my age.
for those that don't know, Martana, what is the Astungkara Trail that you guys do? You do the amazing, I guess, would you call it a pilgrimage, Tim? Pilgrimage across Bali?
Yep.
Describe it for us.
For me, that already been tried to do it with the team as well. I remember
We didn't try.
because we would like to offer to the customers. So we need to make sure when we try, we all still live until the end of the.
So you got customers. So people pay to put themselves through that pain.
It's not as painful now as when Martana did.
So that's the first one. So it's really like for me when I was growing the city side. So I've been not really going to up there to the other side of Bali. For me is being the one that starting, together as a team, starting to try the first trail together as a team, and then been passing a lot of drop like meeting point, or I don't know, like this stopping point. Sorry,
Like checkpoints.
Yeah, checkpoint, and then meet a lot of different people, and then meet different culture, and then also the geography also.
Geography.
The geography also different, like from the city or urban, and then become it like rice field until the forest, and then it's really make me think. So Bali is not about the south side. There's also something that I can feeling really nature in the north side. So for me, connect with the people, learn about its point, the authentic of its point, the authentic of Balinese, its point, the authentic. So it's make me feel like, I don't know, like, because I'm not really have traveling a lot, because I'm only like growing up there and not really have traveling a lot. So I feel like a bit okay. So here's a Bali with their diversity. It's not only like what's happening in the city, but there's also a really beautiful experience along the way north there.
So so if someone paid to do it, they can be guaranteed that they will see authentic Bali and actually have a really fulfilling, enriching experience.
Yeah, with the Balinese family as well.
Yeah. Do you hope that those experiences are life-changing for people?
Yep. So for the people that we already been have experienced together, some of them has really special, like life-changing, what I can see from the people who walk with us together. So maybe Pak Tim maybe can give more with that, because I am doing only few trail, because I'm focusing in Subakumo Lambing. So what I mentioned, when I do facilitate the one that have a stopping point at Subakumo Lambing near Green School, so then I see how they really enthusiast every time they're doing the farming things there. So I think, and then until the end of the day, they giving a lot of good testimonial about what they experienced during all the trail. So I think it's make also life changing for people.
Yeah, man. Sounds like it. Sounds like it for sure.
Especially connecting with the source of their food, and then try to also make the traditional food that what Balinese usually eat.
So will they cook their own food as well on the way?
Yeah, on the way. So for me, when I facilitate in Subakumo Lambing, so we try to start with the planting rice together, and then maybe not like suddenly harvest at that time, but we have some of the rice that we already harvested before, and then we try to cook like as traditional as we can. I mean, like, because of we love, like, there's one of traditional food is called tipat chantok. Tipat chantok. Yeah, so tipat chantok is what, like the sticky rice, but we need to weaving with the palm leaf, and then we learn together how to make the palm leaf first, like the weaving palm leaf into some shape, and then we put the rice, and then we boil it together, and then we mix, and then it become a sticky. And then we cook it with the peanut sauce, and then we add some vegetable from the garden.
So people will go and pick the vegetables together.
Pick the vegetable together and make the sticky rice together.
So good.
And then at the end of the day, we have dinner together. We have sits together with the farmer to talk about what their challenges, and then there's maybe some possibility to through all their challenges. So at that moment we have experience in the field, and also experience with the people around, like for me, like the farmer in that place.
Have an experience with the farmers and get to know them and how they live.
And how they live. There's I usually have long conversation at that moment, because a lot of people asking about subak in Bali, about how the subak manage, and then what the situation now in the subak. So there will be a lot of throwing question at that moment.
So for those that don't know, the subak is the water system.
The water system. So how there's also organization who manage that. So there's a head of the subak, and then the head of the subak is called Pekase, and then they will have the dati, or the work to control or to manage the water. So because of they probably have more water or less water. It depends of what they are planting, and then when they planting it, and then where they planting it.
Wow, man, so good.
Yeah.
I love it. It's I don't know. I'm just sort of like imagining being there and doing it myself, you know. But Tim, I'm going to ask you this question first, and then I'm going to ask Martana. But like, what would you like to see? And what is the future of Bali in your? Like, what would your dream future Bali look like? That's the question I'm trying to ask.
I think, Bali is all about balance. The Balinese philosophy is very much attuned to balance. Offerings made up high and down below, acknowledging light and dark, seen and unseen. I'd love to see a Bali that's back in balance, because I think, as Martana mentioned, the Green Revolution, I think that really threw it off course in some ways. And there's still a beautiful balance that's expressed on a daily basis here in every offering that's given, and in just the way the Balinese people are. But there are a couple of things like mass tourism and the Green Revolution and the chemical usage on the fields that have really thrown a wrench in the works. And my dream for Bali is that balance gets reestablished, that a new form of tourism could emerge that is truly respectful, that really honors and acknowledges the true beauty of Bali, the true ingenuity of Bali, as well as distributes the wealth to the people that need it and know how to be good stewards of it. So yeah, that would be my hope for Bali, as well as, I think what I'd love to see happen here, I think is more possible to see happen here, because people are still very much connected with nature and the source of their food in Bali. The average Balinese person, even if they live in Denpasar, probably still have a sense of where their rice came from, or where their vegetables came from, or where their meat come from, whereas we in the Western world have kind of lost touch with that. And I think we're all at this critical, an inflection point in the crisis. The food industry is just in a mess, and I think we're all going to feel the pinch. If we have already, and I think more and more it's going to become an acute kind of issue that we're all going to have to wrestle with. And I see Bali as being better positioned than most to make that transition to self-sufficiency and resiliency and even abundance in the face of all of this pressure that's on the industrial food system. Wow. So maybe Bali could be a great model to inspire other places to make that same transition.
Yeah. Martana, what's your vision for Bali?
What I vision for Bali as a Balinese, I think living in harmony. So, living with all creatures that sea made, God made. Being surrounding with the food that we can harvest easily. So, just live in harmony with people, with the God.
Bule?
And then people, Bule as well.
You from Bule?
Yeah. So that's the three hitakarana principle. So we have the three hitakarana.
Oh yeah, what are they?
So the three cause happiness. So that's can make our happy. So our prosperity, and then the first is how we make the good relation with the God, and then how we make a good relation with the people, and then how we can make good relation with the nature. So I think that's, for me personally, I would really love to see Bali living in harmony between three of what I mentioned.
That's the best. I think every country needs to adopt that. It's such a great philosophy approach. Oh man, listen, it's funny. Like I said, I haven't been to Bali in a couple of years. It's been quite a profound experience for me. I kind of had a moment where I thought I wasn't going to be able to come back. The world just went so crazy for a while there, and sort of like, it's just bizarre for me. But I just forgot how relaxed I feel here. I think it's a combination of the warm weather, and also, I'm sitting under,
Pelangkiran.
Say again.
Pelangkiran.
Palanquirang, and it's I just feel this real peace come over me, and I just want to ask you, like, what would you say to foreigners if they're thinking about coming back? Like, do you want them to come back to Bali and visit? Like, how do you feel about that?
So, yeah, just what I mentioned in the beginning. So, like the tourism, if it go back again to Bali, if they go back to Bali, I think it's need to be balanced with the agriculture as well. So it's not like
Balance with the agriculture.
Yeah, balance with the agriculture. It's not like one side is really going up and the other side is really going down. So for me, it's, if the bule come back again to Bali, so what I hope is let's make it balance between how the tourism grow and then how the agriculture go as well.
So that's how you'd like to see it done differently this time,
Mm-hmm.
and we have an opportunity. There's an opportunity for that to change right now. Yeah.
So that's Astungkara Way is, I think, to do the regenerative tourism, like working with alongside with the local partner that doing farming.
But I kind of feel like the average tourist wouldn't know how to do that because they're conditioned to book hotels and resorts and just, you know, enjoy the beaches and the ocean and the pools and the restaurants. I don't think it's, and you know, some people are very on short time frames because it's their one holiday of the year from their job. You know, do you think it's realistic?
Yeah, for me, if it too short for them to doing farming, like another stuff, like what you mentioned, I think being use the philosophy that I mentioned, the Trihita Karana.
Yep.
Even though it's just only short holiday, even though they just only have like really like quick holiday, if they do like make a harmony between that three things, I think that's really simple way to make it in balance as well. Like what
Simple.
Yeah, simple.
And they'll
way.
have a good holiday.
Yeah.
Good karma.
Good karma as well.
Yes. Yes. Speaking of good karma, Pak Tim shouted me lunch today. Thanks, Tim.
But I don't
It's all
have.
about the karma
And I
points.
had at his beautiful Korean and wife's beautiful Korean restaurant, Sugi Roll in Pererenan, and man, that hot dog. I feel like I actually want to go back there and have another one before I head back to Uluwatu.
Do what
Is
you
that
gotta do, Shan.
Yeah. Do I have to pay? Do I have to pay this time?
Oh God, it's so inconvenient, the whole paying thing. I know.
I'm just kidding. So listen, guys, I do generally I ask all guests to come to the podcast with a cause they want to support or advocate for. However, in this instance, I think, you know, the cause is the Astungkara Way, and please go to their website. It's theastungkaraway.com. Can you spell it for us, Tim?
Yeah, it's www.astungkara ASTUNGKARA way WAY.com. Astungkaraway.com.
And then go there, check out the website, see how you can participate.
Yeah, you can, even if you're in Australia, you can still contribute by purchasing our healthy rice. And we have actually a lot of people buying the rice to donate it to food kitchens that are supporting people in need here. So it's kind of like getting more bang for your charity buck. You feed people and also feed them healthy rice that expands the regenerative footprint in Bali while you're at it.
Yes.
It
really is God's work, man. I don't know. I feel that's why I'm drawn to it. Like, you know, like people say to me, how do you select guests for the podcast? And I'm like, just people I'm interested in and spark something deep in my heart. That's how I pick my guests, you know, and then you guys do that. So thank you, and please continue on the mission, and hopefully we can keep discussing it and monitoring the journey of the Astungkara Way. And I would love to do the trail one day soon if I can line up the dates. So
would love to have you walk with us 5 or 10 days.
Thanks, man.
Astungkara.
Astungkara. It's God's will, man. I think that's a nice way to end. It's a nice way to end. And I think, so if you enjoyed this episode, please, it always helps the podcast in terms of expanding the reach to people. If you follow on Spotify, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, like a 5-star review, or you don't have to give it 5 stars, but if you write a review, these things help to, get these messages further, and that's what I'm aiming to do. But if you don't do that, I'm just really grateful that you listened to this podcast, so thank you. And you can find this episode and a back catalogue of approximately 150 episodes on terriblehappytalks.com. And, there's also the social media thing. Follow, and you can keep up to date with who I'm having on from week to week. This is a weekly podcast, so thanks for listening. Pak Martana, Pak Tim.
Thank you, Shannon.
Terima kasih.
Astungkara.
Astungkara.